Yes, we are live. So hello everyone and welcome to our webinar. Thank you all for joining. My name is Olena Gryniuk. I'm Regional Director of the Central and Eastern Europe at the SME Banking Club, and I will be your host today. And today we will talk about artificial intelligence in the SME financial sector. And I'm glad to be joined today by Patrycja Sobczyk, Product Owner at Asseca Poland. Hello, Patrycja, and welcome.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Okay, so before we go to the topic, let me mention some organizational moments here. So our webinar is scheduled for 45 minutes. We are recording this webinar, so right after we finish, you will receive the link to the video and also to the presentation and link to the study, which we will present right now. And in the end of the webinar, we will have time for your questions. So please type your questions into the chat. So let's go to the topic of our webinar. So this year, together with Asseco, we created and provided and conducted a study which is called Artificial Intelligence in Financial Institution Next Generation Intelligence Platform for SME Financial Sector. And which summarizes the current state of the preparation of the European market for the implementation of the solutions based on AI in the financial organizations, what their expectations, what their plans, and what their challenges. So actually, we started to discuss in detail the implementation of AI technology in the financial services for SMEs and business customers last year during our annual SME Banking Club conference for the Central Eastern Europe region. And we actually realized that there are still very few examples of such implementations. So the advantages are known, but we see like really few implementations at the moment. And that's why this year we decided to ask financial institutions in the region what are their plans, expectations, and challenges in the area of AI technology. And in March this year, we asked 60 financial organizations. Mainly of them were banks, 70%, and also 18% factoring companies, and the rest fintechs and leasing companies. So we asked them what their plans and challenges in the area of AI solutions. I would like to mention here that we targeted these questions to the AI teams in the organizations, if such teams exist in the bank or other organization. So if not, to the product and process divisions. And we must say that in the most part of the banks in the region, there are no separate AI division in the bank's structure. And this correlates very good with the results that we see in the study, that only 32% of the organizations embedded AI solutions here in the region. And good news is that 65% of the respondents of our study plans to implement such solutions in the nearest 2 years. And thus we see that this is a really beginning of implementation of AI for business customers in particular, and scaling it up in the region. So now I am ready to pass over to Patrycja, and she will present the detailed outcomes of our study. And after that, we will be ready to discuss them with you. And also we will send you the link to the study. You can download it and read it by your own. So Patrycja, you're welcome.
Thank you. So I will discuss the results of the report for you, and here we will have two parts. First part will be mostly about analyzing the data of SME customers, and the second part of the report was directly about using AI tools in financial institutions. So without further ado, let's go to the first part, so analyzing of SME customer data. First insight that we would like to share with you is the fact that almost all respondents, because actually 90% of them, confirm the importance of analyzing customer lifecycle. And when I talk about customer lifecycle, I mean the analysis of customer needs and behavior at every stage of his relationship with financial institution. So not on a given point on time, but in a whole relationship with the institution. So starting from making the potential client aware of the institution, then through acquiring the client, selling him some financial products, and ending up with maintaining the constant relationship with the customer. So such analysis is also highly supported by platforms which are built to be a centralized customer data collection systems. Thanks to this kind of platforms, we avoid the problem of data dispersion, because data is usually in many places, like in transactional system, in warehouses, in customer service systems, and other places where we can store the data. So it significantly accelerates and simplifies this analysis when we have everything in one place. 70% of respondents declared that they actually had such a solution, such a system in their organization. So now let's take a look at what kind of solutions these are. Most of the respondents indicate here that the role of the customer data centralization system is covered by CRM in their company. And you can also notice a trend to build some in-house solutions, because more than half of our respondents also mentioned that they built their in-house solutions. But what I would like to emphasize actually is a fact that only 17% of respondents declared that they are using a customer data platform system. So maybe now a few words what actually those solutions are. So customer data platforms, those are solutions that are adapted to the integration of various kind of data, various data sources. So as we talked about this data dispersion in warehouses, in transactional system, in customer service systems, etc., it is the CDP platform, CDP system that allows you to combine all of those information with one tool. So thanks to that, you can get just the full view of the customer in one place. What is more, CDP platforms also can collect some behavioral data about your clients. So what the person actually do on the website, which products the person see and reacts on them. And also it can indicate location of the customer and do much more things. So this wide range of information is actually an ideal environment for building machine learning models. And this is also why modern solutions like CDP platforms often are already equipped with the engine which is based on AI. And it can support processes like segmentation, profiling, sometimes also recommendation and sales processes. Well, data is the key element on which we can base our artificial intelligence. So the lack of a system that would actually be able to collect and organize the data somehow poses a very big obstacle to the development of AI-based solutions. So we may treat that observation as a first sign how the infrastructure of financial institutions is prepared to start implementing machine learning-based solutions. Continuing the topic of centralized data analysis systems and CDP platforms, we asked also our respondents what would actually convince them to buy such a system if they don't have one. So the respondents here clearly indicate that the increase in the efficiency of customer service is the most important for them. And as you can see, both for banks and for factoring companies, this answer actually gained more than 70%, so it's a really high rate. And this confirms the trend that we have been observing from a while in the financial sector, but actually not only in finances. And what I mean is such a focus on continuous improvement of customer experience and building positive relationship with our customers. So as you can see, institutions that analyze primarily the data of business customers, so SME customers, also fits to this trend. When it comes to the elements which are directly affecting the profit of the institution, so those answers that you can see on the chart, high-end purchase conversion, lowering internal cost, profitability of promotional and sales activities, so those answers turn out to be less important, both for banks and for factoring companies, but they obtained highest result in a case of other industries, which were, I remind you, leasing and fintech companies. Ladies and gentlemen, we already know that financial institutions confirm the importance of analyzing the data of SME customers, but we also asked them about the main purpose related to this analysis. So why they're actually doing a customer analysis? And respondents here could choose several answers, and now we will discuss the results. Over 2/3 of the respondents pointed to the improvement of customer experience, and this confirms actually the conclusion which we presented in the previous screen. We looked at this statistics as a statistic for this answer broken down by industry, and it turns out that it gained the greatest recognition among factoring companies, because you can see that there is a 91% factoring companies which consider the aspect of better customer experience as the most important. Nevertheless, both in the case of banks and other industries, more than half of the respondents included this goal in their responses. Personalized product offers for customers and customer retention were also one of top answers here, because these responses gained at least half of the votes of our respondents. So still, personalization, such client centricity, appears to us here as the most important goal of data analysis. We were also interested in the needs related to the automation of marketing activities aimed at clients of SME sector. And the unambiguous winner was here the acquisition of new customers. So each of the industries that were questions pointed to this issue, as you can see on the chart here, because banks, factoring, and other companies, all of them pointed that the customer acquisition is the most important factor. So we can see that this is the element for which we see the strongest needs for automation. So maybe now a few words of explanation how actually marketing automation can help acquire new customers. So marketing automation tools have usually functionalities that allow you to monitor the behavior of users who visit the website connected with your institutions, with your brand. And basing on those information that are gathered on the website, the tool can prepare personalized content that can be displayed for the person who visits the website. So such a behavior certainly affects somehow to the perception of our brand by a potential customer, and therefore increases the likelihood of conversions, becoming a customer, such a person. Also high in the hierarchy of needs was the increase of productization through cross-sell and upsell, and also dynamic offers preparation. In the case of factoring companies, you can see that the aspect related to the customer retention also turned out to be very important. And this may be probably due to the characteristic of the industry. Well, in case of banks, it is quite natural to establish longer cooperation with the customer. And in the case of factoring companies, well, it's not so obvious. And also acquiring new customers is simply very expensive. So customer retention is a very important factor here for this institution to also automate it somehow by marketing automation tools. To conclude the part on the analysis of customer data, we would like also to share with you one more result. And this time it is related directly to the issue of acquiring new SME customers. So we asked our respondents what they consider the most important as factors which are contributing to acquiring new customers. And as a part of this question, the respondent could evaluate each of the proposals from 1 to 4, where 1 was the most important element. And we selected for you here 2 answers that were qualified as important or as very important among banks and factoring companies. So the first one is the analysis of potential customers, who also are called prospects, and the qualifications and profiling to just better understand needs of those customers and be able to maybe better adjust marketing activities that we do. So this answer was mostly supported by banks because, as you can see, as many as 85% of them considered it as a very important or important factor. Preparation of personalized offers for clients turned out to be equally important because both banks and factoring companies supported this element in almost 2/3. Therefore, we can sum up this part that good understanding of needs of our customers at every stage of cooperation and also personalization of offers for them are the key to success when it comes to acquiring new customers and also influencing a future customer experience that we build in them. So now let's move on to the second part of the study, and now it will be focused directly on artificial intelligence, using artificial intelligence in financial institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start now with statistics related to the current state of use of AI in financial institutions. And what we can see, it turned out that only 1/3 of surveyed institutions actually are currently using AI in their organization. So we also asked our respondents about their plans when it comes to the area of AI. And here we have the information that most of them, because 2/3 of them, actually consider this aspect as a plan element for the future. So you can see that there is a big increase from the current level, so 1/3 to the planned 2/3. In addition, we also asked our respondents to put this plan somehow on a timeline, and it turned out that the largest part of the institutions plan to implement AI tools over a 2-year period. So those answers on the right chart, which are called 1 year and 2 years. If these estimates are met, then actually in 2 years' time, more than half of the financial institutions should use AI in their organization. Those respondents who declared that they are using AI right now, so about 30% of them, of all of the representatives, were also asked about the area in which they implemented AI solutions. So the answers here are presented on a chart on the left. And the area of sales and marketing, as you can see, was the most popular because 32% of respondents voted to that answer. The compliance and AML area was 5 percentage points lower, and probably we have here some solutions connected with fraud detection, and a further 5 percentage points lower for the customer review. And behind this answer, we have CDP platforms, so systems that are enabling customer segmentation and profiling. We wanted to explore the topic of these 3 highest rated areas, and this time we asked all of the respondents, not only those who have already implemented AI, about the current stage of implementation these solutions in their organization. And now the answers are visible on the right side on the screen. And as you can see, respondents had a choice of 4 options. First of them was already implemented, budgeted, on the roadmap, or not planned. So what we would like to highlight here is that we obtained very interesting results for the points related to marketing automation and customer review, so implementations, those CDP platforms. Please note that only 1/3 of the respondents do not plan any development in direction of marketing automation and customer review. And now, if you remember the previous screen, it showed that 2/3 of institutions have plans to develop AI, and 1/3 of institutions actually do not plan to develop artificial intelligence in their company at all. So we can actually conclude that any institutions with any plans related to implementation of machine learning algorithms want to implement both marketing automation and customer data platform. The compliance AML area was here slightly less popular, but it may be also related with the selection of research sample, because as it was mentioned at the beginning, the respondents also came mainly from some business and product sales departments. Another thing that I would like to point out here is the small percentage of respondents like already implemented and budgeted. This shows that many financial institutions actually want to follow a trend connected with developing machine learning in their organizations, but only a small part of them actually have already taken any steps in this direction. Next, we asked our respondents in which areas in their organization value chain they see the greatest use of AI. So what is important in order to their institution? And undoubtedly, leaders have emerged for banks and for factoring companies here. And you can see the results on the left side on the screen. So for banks, the most important thing was data analysis in order to present best possible offer for the customer. This answer was chosen by 67% of banks. Therefore, it is in line with the main goals of data analysis that were selected by our respondents and also presented to you in a previous part of today's webinar. Factoring companies practically unanimously, because in 91% indicated that the customer product development process based on needs of the customer is the most important and not the direct sale of a given product. So once again, we see a strong focus on a customer and taking into account the need of the customer, preferences of this customer. The respondents also had here a choice of answers indicating a more flexible sales processes or creating valuable conclusions from the data, but they obtained slightly lower results. Moving on to the chart that you can see on the right, we wanted to know also our respondents' intuition about the direction of the development of artificial intelligence. So we asked them which areas have the greatest potential for success through the use of machine learning algorithms. So just about their intuition about that. And here, customer retention and fraud detection equally gained the most support of our respondents. So maybe a few words how we can use AI in those fields. When it comes to customer retention, we can have a segmentation behind it, setting purchase scorings for customers, everything that actually allows us to better understand the needs and characteristics of our customers, and then also adapt the development strategy that we have to it. So no doubt that artificial intelligence can help in this area. When it comes to fraud detection, it also is a field in which machine learning algorithm can work very well. We usually use the models based on detection of outliers here, and those kind of models can help units that are handling a lot of our alerts every day to just reduce the number of false positive situations and then relieve those people from often very mechanical work that they have to do. About half of our respondents also believe that dedicated product offer and more broadly recommendation engines also have a great potential of success here. The aspect of customer churn prevention was rated here the lowest. And well, we may say that it's quite intuitive, despite the fact that there are some methods that allow you to detect such customers earlier and also prepare some automatic retention offers for them. Well, if a customer decides to leave, it can be just simply difficult to dissuade him from this decision. So hence only 1/3 believe in a success of artificial intelligence in this area. And in ending the section of artificial intelligence and slowly reaching the end of our presentation, we wanted also to share with you with statistics on the challenges that are related to implementation of machine learning algorithms. So we asked our respondents to rank each of the challenges using a scale from 1 to 7, and then we aggregated those results into 4 categories, distinguishing what was considered to be the biggest challenge, the big one, medium, and the smallest one. So financial institutions are most concerned about integration aspects. And when we say integration, we mean integration with current domain systems, but also integration with implemented processes and company culture. And well, during any implementation of IT solutions, integration with systems, integration with processes, well, it always takes a lot of time and attention. However, modern solutions such as the CDP platform, which was mentioned today, are adapted to easily integrate various data sources. Therefore, it should not be such a big concern anymore for us, and definitely should not discourage to develop actually in the direction of AI. What you can also notice is that the lack of specialized machine learning units within the organization was also classified as a very big challenge. So this is, of course, a significant obstacle, because without competencies within the organization, it will be just difficult to start developing towards artificial intelligence. The solution may be here also to use some external suppliers who can share their experience and also support the organization in implementing solutions based on machine learning. Challenges such as the lack of implementation effects, finding a budget, too few references to AI, it actually turned out to be less of a challenge according to the responses of our survey. Yes, so we reached nearly the end of the presentation, and now I will give you just a short summary to highlight one more time the most important conclusions of the report. So, financial institutions analyzing the data of SME customers currently focus on improving the experience of their clients. So we may assume that institutions direct their activities and investment in IT tools which are able to just help somehow in the area of improving customer experience. Solutions like customer data platforms are rarely used for analysis. Institutions primarily use CRMs, but also their own in-house solutions. CDP platforms often already have artificial intelligence implemented, like, for example, segmentation of the customer database. So, well, they're a great start to build machine learning solutions based on them, due to just having a full and structured data in it. Only 1/3 of institutions currently have solutions based on AI. There are great willingness to implement this type of solution in the future, but especially in the area of marketing. However, few institutions actually have already taken any actions related to budgeting such investments, which may indicate a slow pace of development in this direction. Financial institutions are also concerned about integration issues and often do not have specialized data science units, which also delays investment planning in this area. So, ladies and gentlemen, to sum up, the aim of the report was to examine the preparation of the European market for the implementation of solutions which are based on artificial intelligence, and also to determine the pace of this development in this direction. So let's try to formulate the final conclusion in respect to that. So the awareness of the use of AI is growing on the market, definitely. So more and more people hear about it and see the real benefits associated with the use of AI. However, referring to the presented results, institutions are still cautious, and AI is not the most important pillar on their activities. Therefore, Therefore, in case of institutions that analyze primarily the data of SME customers, we will probably observe a slow, static increase in the use of AI rather than a rapid revolution in this area in the financial sector. The last thing that we would like to share with you is the selection of the biggest challenge faced by financial institutions this year. And as you can see, almost half of the respondents indicated here to better adjustment of the product offer, which also confirms the presented results of the report, which was more about personalization and the customer experience. So without dedicated tools and centralized data system, without also algorithms which can support this process, there is no doubt that it can actually be a very big challenge for financial institutions. And now, also as a representative of an IT company and as a product owner of one of our solutions, I would like to encourage you to visit our website of solution, which is called Asseco Customer Intelligence. This is a tool like customer data platform, but also reinforced with algorithms allowing marketing automation. So it may be just a very useful for you if you face some similar challenges and needs as we presented today, according to the report. So if you would like to have more details, please contact with me on LinkedIn or via email, or just visit our website and see for yourself if it could give you, your institution, some business value. So I will paste the link on the chat below. Thank you very much for your attention. And now I will give back microphone to Olena, and she will also give you a short summary from a side of SME Banking Club.
Yes, thank you, Patrycja. And yes, I would like also to add here that we will, first of all, we will send the studies after we finish the webinar. So you will receive the links to download the study, this presentation, and any additional information that we will, for example, discuss here. So we can also send you as a follow-up of this webinar, and also our contact. So yes, please don't hesitate to ask and write, email us after the webinar. So if you come back to the results that Patrycja mentioned, and I would like here to add several moments as well. So first of all, I mean, if we watch now on this slide and stay on this slide, that one of the biggest challenges here is the better product proposition for a SME customer. I think that this is from the feedback in general that we receive from the banks here in the region is coming from the decentralized data storages that also Patrycja mentioned. And it really seems to be one of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest tasks for the banks now, because really, for example, if I can bring my own example, as I am being an SME customer in Poland. So, for example, I can really say that banks have all the information on the SMEs, or can have, meaning, for example, that of course all the transactional data, all the company legal data, also through the usage of the APIs, they can have data on other current accounts with the banks and with the fintechs. And also, as many banks now, and for example, I'm as SME using bank solution for the invoicing, for the online accounting. So bank really has all the data on my company. And when they are, but still, this data seems to be in not centralized, and they do not still view a full picture on me as a customer. Because, for example, when they're calling, 9 in the morning, for a sales manager to me, and with the question, do I need a factoring, for example, I'm answering that, no, at 9 in the morning right now, I do not need a factoring, because I'm thinking just on another topics right now. But when I'm issuing e-invoicing on the banking platform, for example, and banks knowing all the information actually to which counterparties I previously issued the invoices, what are the delay maybe in the payments, etc., etc. This all with the usage of machine learning and artificial intelligence can be processed. And actually, in this very moment, when I'm, for example, issuing the invoices or checking what is paid and what is not paid, I might have a need to push a button, finance this invoice or sell this invoice or something like this at this very moment. I think that this is the better proposition. This is the way that banks and financial companies should sell their financial products at the moment. So to be in the context of the customer business, to have this personalized proposition and in the very moment. And this is, I hope, the nearest future, because really all the data banks have to implement such kind of solutions for and product offers for the SMEs, or in general for business customers. And the rest is like to use this data, process, analyze, and usage with the usage of AI and machine learning technologies, and sell the products. So this new way. So if I also would like to mention here that it was an interesting thing with the examples that we analyzed here that implemented some cases of AI in the region, is that actually there are very few banks that really thinking on the AI strategy in the region. So mainly these examples that here we saw that 32% of the companies implemented in the region, they are mainly a separate use cases. So banks are preferring to start with the use cases, and then after having, I don't know, maybe hundreds of them, depends. This is also like an individual decision of each and every bank. They are started to think on the strategy or on the scaling it up to the whole organization. So this is what we see and on the market. And yes, we know that all the consultants and like the it seems that the right way is to have a strategy and then go with the cases, but the market is showing that it goes vice versa right now. And I also would like to encourage, when you will download the study, you will see the interview with Antti Myllymäki. He's the head of AI in Finland bank, which is called OP Group. And Antti is present here. Hello, Antti. And thank you for sharing your experience. And I really encourage to read this interview, because it is Antti shared with us the practical views and expertise and experience actually after the implementations of more than 150 cases and use cases of AI technologies in the bank, and answering very practical actually how to start implementing AI if a bank does not have a data scientist team, which was one of the main challenges that we saw here. So, and how to hire and how then the second question could be like how bank can hire such a data scientist if still they do not have some cases to work with at this right moment. So I encourage you to read, because I think this is a very practical information how to start. And also in terms of budgeting, I may be coming ahead and will spoil a bit of this answers, this practical information. But from my side, the crucial thing was also about budgeting and, the results that that we saw that 32% of the banks and which have AI team in their structure have some implementations of such use cases implemented. This shows not only the fact that if there is a team responsible for their project, then the project works. But also it was an interesting case from Antti about the budgeting, so that there very often, because there is really difficult to measure what will be the future outcome or the future results of AI implementation. So sure, we know that if we do better product proposition or we do personalized offer to their business customers, yes, we expect that, yes, the sales will grow, but to which extent, this is really very difficult to predict. And that's why very often a product or sales of business lines, let's say like SME or maybe corporate banking business line, could not be interested directly in this, in implementing the projects and allocating budget for such projects, which the results of which cannot be measured to the very end. And the example that how it was implemented in the OP group, for example, that the IE team has its own budget, and then the first years of the projects of AI project are financed from their budget, and business lines are involved as subject matter experts, which can use in future these use cases or at a scale, let's say, if succeed. And I think this is a very good model to start implementation in the bank, because then the business lines, when they see that the project works, then they get involved and they understand already the results and can predict maybe some already results when implemented at the scale or implemented on the whole segment of the customers. Then it is more realistic, let's say, to implement and have and plan business results. So these are the main points that I would like to mention, and we have here several questions. So let me read them. We have first from Mustafa: how do financial institutions use AI for improving their internal processes?
Okay.
Well, can be differently, right? So it can be both, started from the chatbots and automation of some back office processes. And Patrycja, maybe you can comment. You have some experience with their implementation.
Well, so it's quite a broad question, yes, because those internal processes are also quite broad. So when we think, for example, of communication with a customer, we can use, as Olena said, chatbots. And also, for example, when we say about automation, because we talk a lot about it today, then we can say about acquiring new customers. So functionalities like, for example, calculating the purchase scoring for those people who are visiting the website. So for those prospects, we can, for example, track what they do on a website, and basing on that information, so we are able to calculate how possible is that a person will become a customer, that the person will convert actually. And basing on this information, we are also able to plan somehow our investment in marketing activities. Yes, because if we know that one person is scored like in 90% and the other one is in like 20%, then we can, for example, use our call center units, which are usually more expensive, to just call to those people who have the highest rate. So we are more certain that they will become customers than for those people who have the just lower score. Yes, so maybe an email will be just enough for them. So there's a lot of things when it comes to fraud detection. We also, as I said actually during presentation, we can automate somehow the manual work that people, that analysts from fraud detection groups are doing. So we may somehow find those alerts that are really important, and those which are just false positives can be just cleared for those people. So really a lot of things. So we need just the use case to start to work with that.
Mm-hmm. We have now the question from Victor. Do you have any information on the use of AI by banks to monitor early warning signals for SME loans?
Okay. Well, so I may say only that I know that there are some AI methods that enable you to do that. Yes. So there are some methods that can tell you how it is probably, for example, that a person will stop paying for a loan, and also when it will happen. But if companies really use it right now, I'm not able to answer that question.
Yes. So I don't also have in mind, I mean, the real use case, meaning that there was like the task and the outcome. But yes, it can be used. I know that in some banks their disbursement is automated, but for the early warning signals, actually, I don't know actually the case. But of course, it is possible to implement. The question is on the on what is the strategy and main target, as we saw. So the banks and other financial companies now are mainly targeting sales perspective, meaning marketing automation and better offering of the customers, and not the monitoring, the loan monitoring process. But of course, I think everything is so. This is possible to automate. Okay, so we don't have questions at the moment, and we are actually running out of the time of our webinar. So then, Patrycja, well, let us summarize and. So as I mentioned, yes, so you will receive the study, all of you, and please download it and ask you any questions that you can have after. Don't hesitate to email us. So thank you all for joining and being with us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, and see you next time online.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.